wanted to welcome all of you guys here and say how grateful we are as founders to have this opportunity to interact with you. You know, the NABJ is really important to all of us, and we hope that your experience here makes it you know, an important organization, an important resource for all of you. So I think I encourage you to see us as people you can come up to, you know, talk with us during the convention, get our business cards, and certainly feel free. I hope I speak for all of us to call us or email us at any time, you know, after the convention, during the convention, and just keep in touch, you know, because one of the things that we really want to do is encourage young black journalists, encourage you in your craft, encourage you to become members of this organization and to extend its life another 35 years.
Hi, I'm John White, a former journalist, now with Public Affairs Manager for the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. I think one of the benefits of this organization, as we started it 35 years ago, is to help young people such as yourselves. We started a group in Baltimore even before NABJ, and the primary purpose was to help get other people into the business. Sort of echo what Joe is saying, that we could do nothing better than to assist you in any way we can through the benefit of our experience and to encourage you as you go forward in this business, which is, as you know, is very competitive, can be very tricky. So even though I've been out of the business for the last 20 years now, I spent time with various newspapers and television, and feel free to ask me anything you want if you see me in the halls. And, it's a pleasure to see you get people here. I think of my daughter who just graduated as a journalist 2 years ago. She's now struggling. So it's a struggle.
And since this is from the oldest to the youngest, I'm going to let Les Payne speak.
No, I'm Les Payne. I'm from New York. And I'd like to welcome you also. And I think that, I mean, what's exciting for me is that the world you're in now is totally different from the world that these fellows entered in the years they entered. In all kinds of ways. I mean, you're going through a technological revolution, and much of what you're going to have to do in journalism is to redefine. Journalism, how it is delivered, is being totally redefined, and you're on the ground floor of that, and you should take full advantage of that. I think what we have to offer really is kind of a value system. I think what we have to offer is an experience which should not be lost. Now, in terms of my personal experience, I'm a reporter. I'm a newspaper man, by the way. I had a television show was on a television show for about 5 years in New York. But I'm a newspaper man with an emphasis in foreign news. I wrote essentially the Foreign Desk at Newsday. I covered Africa, Europe, the Caribbean, everywhere. I also ran the national desk over time, and also ran the Health and Science Department. And I was later, when I left the paper in 2008, the New York editor. So that's my kind of resource background. And so anything that I have is yours.
I'm Paul Brock, and everyone, all of the founders were still in journalism when we founded the organization. I had just left journalism as a news director of WHUR in Washington, D.C., and formerly news director for WETA in Washington, D.C. But at the time of the founding, I had just left, and so that's how, I guess, I came into the organization. They elected me the executive director of the group that very, not infamous night, very important night for journalism in this country, for the entire country, I would say. Since then, I've been vice president of American Urban Radio Network and a few other things, but mostly since then my career has been in public relations.
I am Allison Davis, and some of you may know me from the student project. This is my second year working on the student project. I became involved in the NABJ quite by accident, and some of you may have heard this story, but I was about 22 years old, working at WBZ in Boston, and had gone to Washington to visit my parents, and there was a party at the Black Elected Officials Conference at the Sheraton. And a friend of mine called me up and said, "There's a party." And I said, "Oh, I'm all game for a party." And so I borrowed my dad's car, and I went down, and she said, "Oh, before we go to the party, we have to go to this meeting." And I said, "What is this meeting?" And they said, "Oh, something about journalists." And I was working at WBZ, as I said, in Boston as a producer a month after my 22nd birthday, having used all of my college contacts, and having taken some really wonderful courses, where I was able to write relatively well enough to get in the door. And the bottom line is that I attended the meeting quite reluctantly, was somewhat impatient at the speed of the meeting because I hoped to get to the party, and ended up saying to the president, the chairman, Chuck Stone, "Mr. Chairman, point of order. I know a little bit about Robert's rules." And he said, "Your point." And I made my point, and he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "My name is Allison Davis. I'm at WBZ Television in Boston." He said, "Miss Davis, you've just become the parliamentarian." I said, "Of what?" And he said, "What are we calling ourselves?" And somebody, could have been less, I think it's the National Association of Black Journalists.